Good morning, America. For our viewers in the West, the polls are open and millions are ready to cast their final votes on Election Day. Overnight, Vice President Harris going all out in critical Pennsylvania, looking to chart a new course.
And we have an opportunity in this election to finally turn the page on a decade of politics driven by fear and division. We are done with that. We're done. We're done.
Wrapping up her campaign in Philadelphia.
There is nothing in the world that will stand in my way.
Former President Trump crisscrossing 3 states in his final day on the trail, aiming to return to the White House, ending the night in all-important Michigan.
November 5th, today, will be the most important day in the history of our country.
An election like no other in history, with a change of candidate and 2 assassination attempts this summer. Tight security at polling places throughout the nation amid threats. Officials not taking any chances.
Anybody who thinks it's time to insult, to deride, to mistreat, to threaten people, F around and find out. We do have the cuffs, we do have the jail cells.
This morning, a closer look at the key issues defining this race.
At the top of my list is bringing down your cost of living. That will be my focus every single day as president.
On day 1, I will launch the largest deportation program of criminals in American history. We're going to get them out.
The final push to get out the vote. We're breaking down the path to victory for each candidate. Our powerhouse political team is spread out across the country in the battleground states that will decide this election. The race to 270 electoral votes starts right now.
Live in Times Square, this is a special edition of Good Morning America. Your voice, your vote. Election Day 2024.
Good morning, America. On this historic election day, over 130 million Americans are waking up eligible to cast their vote. More than 82 million cast their ballots early. And as we come on the air, polling locations you can see are opening in several states. Voters you see lining up already at the polls there in Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And take a look in Philly, where they will start counting the ballots this morning. The votes could take a long time to count. Every state does it differently, and we'll tell you what might happen if the election comes down to 2 important states, Nevada or Arizona.
And we have the first returns coming in from Dixfield Notch, New Hampshire, a long-time tradition where the votes were counted at midnight. The tiny community split its 6 votes evenly, 3 for Harris and 3 for Trump. Donald Trump hit Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and held his final rally in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Vice President Harris held a star-studded rally in Philadelphia overnight, capping an entire day in the Keystone State and a campaign where the 2 candidates offered starkly different takes on the state of the country and starkly different agendas for the future of the country. This is a coin toss election with unprecedented consequences. We have our election team in place across the country here in the studio. Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce starts us off. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, George. Well, we made it. The big day after months of campaigning and crisscrossing the country. It all leads to this very moment. After the shortest presidential campaign in modern American history, Vice President Kamala Harris is now sprinting across the finish line, closing out her historic candidacy with a message of unity and optimism, promising to be a president for all Americans. Just over 100 days since Kamala Harris was catapulted to the top of the Democratic ticket, the big day now finally here.
Philadelphia, you ready to do this?
Harris closing out her campaign in Pennsylvania, the state most likely to determine this race, with a call for unity.
And we will win because when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for. And we have an opportunity in this election to finally turn the page on a decade of politics that has been driven by fear and division. We are done with that. We're done. We're exhausted with it.
Overnight, speaking at the base of the famous Rocky Steps in Philadelphia before a crowd of 30,000, Harris with a star-studded finale to her whirlwind campaign.
It's good to be back in the city of brotherly love. where the foundation of our democracy was forged. And here at these famous steps, a tribute to those who start as the underdog and climb to victory.
Harris ending her campaign on a positive note in the final day, not mentioning Donald Trump by name.
My entire career has been driven by a singular purpose: to fight on behalf of the people. On behalf of the people. And it is my pledge to you that if you give me a chance to fight on your behalf as president, there is nothing in the world that will stand in my way.
The vice president focused on her key issues, promising to lower the cost of groceries and health care, to make housing more affordable, and to protect reproductive rights.
We are not going back because ours is a fight for the future and ours is a fight for freedom, including the most fundamental freedom of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do.
In the home stretch, Harris leaning on her celebrity supporters to drive voters to the polls, from the Roots to Katy Perry, Lady Gaga, and Oprah. Harris spending the last day of this race barnstorming Pennsylvania. She's visited the must-win state 18 times since launching her campaign, more than any other battleground. Her team telling us they've knocked on 5 million doors in this state, the vice president joining them.
I just wanted to come by and say I hope to earn your vote, and I wanted to just thank you for just giving us the time.
Trying to get out every last vote. Now Harris spends the day at home in Washington with family. She's also doing a series of radio interviews this morning in the key battleground states, trying to reach those last voters. Her campaign telling me she is running through the tape on this race.
Yeah, they are sprinting, Mary. Mary, tell us about the mood inside the Harris camp.
Well, look, they know that this is going to be incredibly close, but they're feeling cautiously optimistic. Kamala Harris herself says that the momentum is on her side, and they feel they are well positioned in all of those key battlegrounds, in part because they say they've built a strong, broad coalition and that they have the ground game to get out the votes and get Harris across the finish line.
All right, today is the day. Mary Bruce, thank you so much for that. And everybody is here in studio. Rachel Scott is here with the latest on the Trump campaign. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, Michael, good morning. And this has been a campaign unlike any other. Donald Trump launched his third bid for the White House 720 days ago. A twice impeached former president who was convicted of a crime and survived 2 attempted assassinations. His closing message has been dark in the final days, but Trump also campaigning on that one key question, whether Americans are better now than they were 4 years ago.
Overnight in Grand Rapids, Donald Trump holding the final campaign rally of his 2-year-long bid for president, urging voters in battleground Michigan to turn out.
November 5th, today, will be the most important day in the history of our country.
Taking the stage after midnight and speaking until after 2 a.m.
With your vote tomorrow, we can fix every single problem our country faces and lead America, indeed the world, to new heights of glory.
His voice hoarse, his remarks at times rambling, after barnstorming 3 swing states in just one day. Trump repeatedly turning to personal insults and dark rhetoric in his closing message, even referring to Nancy Pelosi, the first female House Speaker in U.S. history, with an expletive.
She's a crooked person. She's a bad person. Evil. She's an evil, sick, crazy. It starts with a B, but I won't say it. I want to say it.
The former president casting doubt on the outcome before votes are even counted by once again spreading false claims about election integrity, placing the blame on his supporters if he loses.
No, all we have to do, if we get out our people, it's over. There's nothing they can do about it. It's nice when you have that, right? You know? In other words, to make you feel a little guilty, we would only have you to blame.
Trump leaning into anti-immigrant rhetoric, pledging mass deportations, calling the U.S. an occupied country.
The day I take the oath of office, the migrant invasion ends and the restoration of our country begins. It begins immediately. The United States is now an occupied country.
At his rally in Pennsylvania, the former president called some undocumented immigrants nasty people, floating the idea of migrants having their own fighting league.
I want the migrant to go against the champion, and I think the migrant might actually win. That's how nasty some of these guys are.
And at one point, Trump suggesting boxer Mike Tyson should get in the ring with Vice President Kamala Harris.
Mike's been through a lot, but he could fight. Let me tell you, that guy could fight. But can you imagine Mike? Oh, he says, put Mike in the ring with Kamala. That would be interesting. No, but can you imagine?
In recent weeks, Trump trying to appeal to young male voters, doing a series of interviews on podcasts, and overnight netting a big endorsement from one of the most popular podcast hosts in the country, Joe Rogan.
I just want to thank Joe Rogan. That's fantastic.
Trump's campaign needs to win over female voters, too, where polls show Harris has an edge. At that rally in Pennsylvania, the crowd positioned behind him, largely female, holding pink signs reading, "Women for Trump." The Harris campaign has seized on the former president's comments that he will protect women whether they like it or not, and Trump's own statements that he would put Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has pushed a range of conspiracy theories, in charge of women's health.
Oh, Bobby, you got to do one thing, do whatever you want. You just go ahead, work on the pesticides, work on making the women's health. He's so into women's health. And, you know, he's really unbelievable. It's such a passion.
So the campaigning is over. Donald Trump will cast his own ballot in Palm Beach before holding an election night watch party there later this evening.
And what can you tell us about the mood inside the Trump campaign, Rachel?
Yeah, look, this is a campaign. They feel very confident about how far they've come after the indictments, after the conviction. This is a Republican Party that has rallied behind the former president. And there's no doubt he's been campaigning very hard, blitzing those battleground states. They feel good about what they're seeing in the early voting numbers. But there has been a vibe shift in the last week, starting with that rally at Madison Square Garden, those disparaging comments that speaker made about Puerto Rico, comparing it to an island of garbage, Donald Trump's violent and dark rhetoric about Liz Cheney, even this week suggesting that reporters could be shot at his rally. There are Republicans out there that are asking, is this really the closing message that seals the deal?
All right, we'll see. And we will see you throughout the morning, Rachel. Thank you very much. But right now, our political director and Washington bureau chief, Rick Klein, is here with the latest polling in what has been a tight race from the very beginning, Rick.
Yeah, good morning, Robin. A tight and relatively stable race. Our latest poll with Ipsos shows a 3-point lead for Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. And if that looks familiar, this is what our first poll back in August, when Kamala Harris first got in the race, looked like, an identical 3-point race. Nothing has seemed to shake this campaign. But zooming in on the battleground states, our 538 polling average tells a little bit of a different story. Harris, with the slightest of leads in Michigan and Wisconsin, up by a single point in the polling averages. Trump up very narrowly, inside a percentage point in North Carolina, Georgia, Nevada, a little bit more in Arizona, but all of this well within a margin of error. Pennsylvania, just about a tie. 0.2 of a percentage point separate the candidates in what's basically the must-win state for both candidates.
So walk us through, Rick, what each candidate needs to do to win.
Yeah, so this is our what-if scenarios. We're assuming that the blue states stay blue and the red states stay red. The easiest way for Harris to capture the presidency, she takes Michigan, Wisconsin, and then Pennsylvania. That's 270 electoral votes exactly. That's exactly the number that she would need. On the other hand, Donald Trump has some paths that run through the Sun Belt. If he's able to end up winning in Nevada and Arizona out west, then he can just hold Georgia and North Carolina in the South. He puts him just one state away. The biggest target, again, Pennsylvania. That's the one that is most likely to determine the presidency.
And Rick, what do we expect in terms of how states will report the results?
Yeah, Michael, some 82 million Americans have already voted early. That's a wild number, and it's roughly half the total expected vote of the day. And all those votes are going to take a really long time to count. Every state does it a little bit differently. Georgia and North Carolina, the officials there tell us most of the votes going to be in quickly. Polls in those states close early. We could have winners in both before midnight, unless it's very close. Michigan, they've changed their law there to speed up the process. That could roll in tonight as well. Most of the votes should be counted in Wisconsin by the wee hours of the morning. But if the election comes down to Nevada or Arizona, officials tell us counting all those mail ballots will take days, if not a week or more. And it's very plausible. Back to Pennsylvania, the state we're waiting to clinch on right there. Officials there weren't allowed to even open the 1.7 million early votes until this morning. Big urban areas like Philadelphia say they're going to count all through the night, and it will be a very late one at that, guys.
Okay, well, let's go to Pennsylvania. Matt Gutman is there. Matt, no state matters more than Pennsylvania in this election, and as Rick just said, it could take a long time to know the outcome.
George, good morning. Folks started lining up this polling station here in Bucks County, at 5 a.m. this morning. The line's gotten much smaller. This is a bellwether county in a tipping point stake. Rick mentioned 19 delegates at stake here, and the candidates have spent a monumental amount of money and time here together, about $600 million, each of them making 21 campaign stops here. And the Harris campaign has a massive ground game here. 50,000 volunteers. They've made over 2 million door knocks. The Trump campaign already starting to make allegations of voter fraud, something that Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro told me is simply not true. But it has ramped up the threat environment here, and almost every county in the state has an incident command on standby. Typically, that's only designated for disasters. And most of the county officials that we've spoken to say, first, they want to make sure that nobody gets hurt today, and second, that the vote is efficiently and quickly counted. Now, in 2020, it took 5 days to tally the votes. This time, all the counties have committed to counting all the votes, not stopping round the clock until it's done. Robin.
Every vote counts, and it's great to see so many people lining up early there. Okay, we're going to turn now to an alleged Russian plot to send explosive devices on planes to the U.S. Our transportation correspondent, Gio Benitez, has that story for us. Good morning, Gio.
Hey, Robin, good morning. Yeah, ABC News confirming this report overnight, and it is shocking. This absolutely could have brought down planes. 2 of those devices ignited at DHL facilities. This morning, a multinational investigation underway to track down the culprits of an alleged Russian plot to send explosive devices aboard U.S. and Canada-bound planes, first reported by the Wall Street Journal. UK authorities saying devices ignited back in July at 2 separate DHL cargo hubs, one in Leipzig, Germany, the other in Birmingham, England.
There's a real question here whether this was an intentional act by the Russian intelligence to bring down an airplane or to test ability to get an incendiary device onto airplanes, or did they just want to scare the Western public?
Officials believe it's part of a wider plot where Russia schemed to send the incendiary devices through a commercial carrier on planes that would potentially end up in the United States. According to the Journal, one of the suspects, seen here at a DHL in Vilnius, Lithuania, arrested for allegedly sending 4 devices to the UK.
The problem is that these packages were very, very small, but even a small amount of burning magnesium can bring down a whole airplane.
Authorities in Poland arrested and charged 4 people in connection with the explosions. The TSA increasing security in recent months for certain cargo shipments.
If an airplane were brought down over the North Atlantic under suspicious circumstances, that all commercial aviation would be grounded immediately around the world for a long period of time.
And just moments ago, the Kremlin dismissed reports claiming that Russia might be behind the plot, calling them incoherent allegations. Guys.
Okay, Gio, thanks very much. Coming up, down in Brazil, Chris Christie, Reince Priebus, with insight into what the candidates and campaigns are going through right now.
Plus, inside the election security concerns. And Dan Abrams is here breaking down your rights as a voter.
Our team is ready for the big day ahead, spread out across the battleground states on this election day.
Back here on GMA, you can see voters going to polling places to make their voices heard on this election day. You're looking live at Asheville in the critical state of North Carolina. Byron Pitts is there for us, and we're going to check in with him in just a few moments.
All right, and security will be tight at polling places around the country amid threats to election workers. Chief Justice Correspondent Pierre Thomas is here with more on that. Good morning, Pierre.
Michael, good morning. In many ways, Election Day is supposed to be a day of celebration, but we're in a new era where ballots need to be protected, and many election workers are forced to work behind fortresses to protect them.
From law enforcement stationed at the polls to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department providing chopper service to transport ballots. Officials everywhere not taking any chances.
We're providing a police officer at all 177 polling locations.
In Maricopa County, Arizona, ballot workers are met with surveillance cameras, iron fences, even metal detectors. Snipers on the rooftops are at the ready.
We are prepared, and we will take those necessary actions to ensure the safety and security of the employees involved in this and to ensure the safety and security of democracy.
There's reason for concern. In Vancouver, Washington, new video shows a ballot box bursting into flames less than 30 seconds after this car was seen driving away. And overnight, a Georgia poll worker arrested for mailing a bomb threat to election officials. But despite a backdrop of threats, state officials making it clear this will be the most secure election ever.
At the end of the day, it's going to be fair and fast and accurate.
And in Philadelphia, the district attorney with this blunt warning.
Anybody who thinks it's time to insult, to deride, to mistreat, to threaten people, F around and find out. We do have the cuffs. We do have the jail cells.
All my law enforcement sources are being blunt. They are not going to tolerate intimidation of voters and election workers, period. George?
Okay, Pierre, thanks. Let's talk to our political veterans, former DNC Chair Donna Brazile, former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and former RNC Chair, Trump White House Chief of Staff Reince Priebus. And I want to ask all of you the question I asked Sunday and see if anything's changed. Donna, let me begin with you. What are you watching for most today? Do you have a strong conviction about what's going to happen?
Well, George, as you well know, there are millions of Americans who are still holding on to their requested absentee ballots. So turn those ballots into an official drop box or to the post office, watch it get stamped. What I'm watching, George, the number of volunteers that the Democrats are seeing all over this country, making sure that they get the votes in. And I'm also watching Vice President Harris, who will spend most of her day calling into radio stations, encouraging people to vote. So it's going to be a razor-thin election, but I do believe that the Democrats have put all of the ingredients, and what we're looking for now is a delicious bowl of gumbo. The roux is there. We just need the salt and the seasoning.
Reince Priebus, I think you predicted 300-plus electoral votes for Donald Trump on Sunday. Standing by that?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I look at two things, George. One, the big picture. The big picture is 75% of the country says that this country's on the wrong track. That's a historic number, huge problem for Kamala Harris. Number two, the prices of gas, groceries, the economy, and then this crazy border that we've got with people coming over the border. People don't like it. It's universally condemned. Small picture, look at early vote. Republicans are doing better. Democrats are doing worse than they did in 2020. Polling is better for Trump than it's been since he's run. Prediction markets say Trump is looking good, too. And Democrats today, they've got to do better today on the ground than they've done in modern history. They've got to pull off something on the ground today, more like 2008 than anything else. It's going to be really tough for them, I think, to pull it off.
Chris Christie, that 74% wrong track number usually spells doom for anyone in an incumbent party.
And it would spell doom for the incumbent party, except for the fact that Donald Trump has a 60% unfavorable rating with the American people. You know, when I used to look at polls that were done for me when I was running, the first two things I would look at, George, was right track, wrong track, and favorable, unfavorable for the candidate. And these two are exact opposites now. It spells doom for the Democrats, but the thing that saves them is Trump's 60% unfave. His unfave would spell doom for him, except 74% of people think they're on the wrong track.
We just heard Reince Priebus run through the issues, but that's not really what voters heard from Donald Trump in these last 10 days.
No, in fact, I spoke to a person in the Trump campaign last night who said that their words exactly, we wanted to vomit the last 9 days because he completely got off message, and they're afraid he may have lost it in the last 9 days. So today, I think the things that I'm going to be looking at are going to be what's turnout like in Philadelphia, in Milwaukee, in Detroit. If turnout is really good in those places, that's a good sign for Harris. If it's not as robust, it's a bad sign for Harris. And the one thing I'd say about Reince with the early vote is when you look at that early vote in depth, these are people who have voted in 3 of 4 and 4 of 4 of the last elections. So the question is, are Republicans adding voters, or are we cannibalizing the election day vote?
And I want to bring a question to Donna Brazile. Donna, Reince pointed out that Donald Trump beat the polls in 2016 and 2020. That is definitely true. Democrats have beat the polls in 2022, basically every election since Dobbs.
Look, there's no question that reproductive rights, women want to have the full range of our health care available to all of us. But let me just tell you something about the polls. And I understand why people like to talk about the polls, because they don't know nothing else. What I like to talk about the people, the excitement, the energy, the joy. And what you're seeing right now on the Democratic side is that we've captured the momentum. In the closing days of this campaign, Kamala Harris is uniting the country by saying that she has a plan, she has a process, she has a favor to making sure that we all stand together. She's not running around the country making jokes and talking about the former Speaker of the House. I do believe at the end of the day, this election is going to turn down to those voters in those counties that Chris mentioned, but also to those Americans who hunger for change. They want a man or a woman with character, and there's only one candidate with the character in this race, and that's Kamala Harris.
Reince Priebus, we're hearing a lot from people surrounding Donald Trump that he's going to declare victory tonight basically no matter what. at some point. Do you expect that to happen? Do you expect him to accept the results if he loses?
I do, George, but I also think that, to counter what Chris just had to say, if you look at where the numbers are today, people that don't vote as much, they're actually turning out bigger for Donald Trump. This is totally different than any other election. The less likely it is for someone to vote, the more likely it is that they will vote for Donald Trump. I actually think the last thing I'd tell you is that Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, the 3 states that we've been talking about so much, those undecided voters, the 3.5% left today, who are those people? Those people look the same in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, which is why Trump won all 3 in 2016. Biden won all 3 of those in 2020. I believe that Harris or Trump, and I happen to think it's going to be Trump, but I think Harris or Trump will win all 3 of those states tonight. That's why I think tonight is going to feel more like 2016 than 2020.
States often fall in the same direction. Reince Priebus is right about that, Chris. I guess the question I have to you is, how long do you believe this is going to take, and do you believe this closely divided country can come together after this election?
Well, and how long it's going to take? Look, I think Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Nevada are going to take a while because of the way they count votes. And Arizona and Nevada, obviously, in the Pacific time zone, are going to start later. So I think we're not going to know this probably until late tomorrow or maybe even Thursday in terms of who's going to be the winner. And again, I don't know which numbers Reince is looking at. The ones I looked at in Georgia are not showing low propensity voters are coming out on either side at the moment. That's not good news for Trump or Harris. They've got to get whoever gets those people motivated out are going to be the ones to go. And in terms of Trump accepting the results of the election if he loses, George, I just ask Reince, what's the evidence that he will? He never has. And so all of a sudden now he's going to get religion and accept him if he loses. I don't think that's the case. Now, I don't think it'll matter nearly as much as it did 4 years ago because he's not the president. And so his influence on what will happen post-election is significantly less now than it was 4 years ago. But you asked about conviction early on, and I realized I didn't answer. I'd bet about $5 on Harris today. For a guy from New Jersey, that's not a lot of conviction.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Now to Nevada, where the Latino vote is crucial. Maria Villarreal is in Las Vegas for us. Good morning, Maria.
Hey, good morning, Michael. This is the first time voters will be able to go into Allegiant Stadium right behind me, the home of the Raiders, to cast their vote. Now, Nevada has 6 electoral votes, the smallest of all the swing states, but still very important. Democrats have usually held strong with the help of service industry organizations like the Culinary Union, and they are banking on the Latino vote. In fact, 1 in 5 voters are Latino in this state, and both candidates know how powerful this voting bloc is. Harris was in Vegas and Reno last week, and she is pouring millions into Spanish language ads. Trump has also been reaching out to the Latino community through phone banks, for example, pushing his no tax on tips proposal. But Latinos are not a monolithic group, and voters I've spoken with say it's the issues driving them to the polls. The economy, the cost of living, and immigration are top of mind. Now, election officials do tell me they've poured a lot of money and logistics into revamping their voting system, and they are hoping to get out results a lot sooner than what we saw in 2020.
Thank you, Maria. Robin?
And now to Arizona, where abortion is on the ballot. Elizabeth Schulze is in Phoenix for us. Good morning to you, Elizabeth.
Hey, good morning, Robin. Voters here in Maricopa County know that their ballots will likely decide who wins Arizona's 11 electoral votes, and they'll decide if the right to an abortion should be enshrined in Arizona's constitution. This is one of 10 states with the ballot initiative to expand abortion access. Organizers behind Arizona's measure tell us that they are confident it will pass, but that doesn't guarantee a win here for Vice President Harris. They expect that many voters will split the ticket and still vote for former President Trump. Election officials in Maricopa County are bracing for a tight race. We did get a look inside the center where 60% of Arizona's ballots will be counted. It is a meticulous process, and in every step, from unsealing ballots to verifying signatures to tabulating the votes, Republicans and Democrats team up to supervise. It took them 10 days to count the votes here in 2020, and election officials tell us that this year it could be even longer. George.
Okay, Elizabeth, thanks very much.
Your rights as a voter. More than 82 million Americans have cast their votes early. Millions more are heading to the polls today. Our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, is here with what voters need to know. So tell us what they need to know as far as their rights.
All right, let's go through it quickly. First of all, your ballot is secret.
even the poll workers, not entitled to know who you're voting for. If you're in line when the polls close, stay in line. You can still vote. If you make a mistake on a paper ballot, you can ask for a new one. And finally, if the machines are down, you can also ask for a paper ballot.
That is all important information, especially about being in line. If you're in line when it closes, you can just stay there.
Stay there and you're entitled to vote.
You talked about the poll workers. What if they tell you that you're not on the list of registered voters?
Ask for what's called a provisional ballot. Basically, after the election, they go back and they'll sort out whether you're right. If you're right, that vote will end up counting. A provisional ballot basically just says, here's your opportunity to vote. We'll check on it later.
And we're hearing more and more about poll watchers.
Yeah.
So what's the difference between a poll watcher and a poll worker?
Very different. A poll worker is someone who's working there to basically help people, right? Very often they're volunteers. Poll watchers tend to be partisans who are there to watch for one party or another. Depends on the state, by the way. In certain states, poll watchers can actually interact with voters. They can ask voters questions in certain states, but again, they certainly cannot, never ask you anything about who you're voting for.
Nor intimidate you.
Absolutely.
But what if you feel somebody, I'm not saying that the poll watchers are going to be doing that, but if you feel that somebody is intimidating you, what can you do?
Say something. Say something either to one of the officials at the polling area or potentially to law enforcement. There's going to be a lot of law enforcement there.
Well, we saw with Pierre's.
Exactly. And so if you feel like you're being intimidated, talk to someone.
All right. Thank you so much, Dan. People needed to hear this. And if you need to make your voting plan, you can scan the QR code on your screen to find out where your voting place is located, or you can go to vote.gov. And we will have full election night coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern tonight right here on ABC. We'll be right back.
Good morning, America 8 a.m. Overnight, Vice President Harris goes all out in critical Pennsylvania, wrapping up her campaign with a rally in Philadelphia.
There is nothing in the world that will stand in my way.
Former President Trump crisscrosses 3 states, ending the night in all-important Michigan.
November 5th, today, will be the most important day in the history of our country.
This morning, the final push to get out the vote, a closer look at the key issues defining this race.
At the top of my list is bringing down your cost of living. That will be my focus every single day as president.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program of criminals in American history. We're going to get them out.
The candidates offer starkly different views for the country, an election like no other in our history.
Fortunate to be alive. One mother's story of survival from a brain aneurysm.
The fact that I'm even here is an absolute miracle, and the power of prayer is so real.
How doctors saved her from the brink of death and the warning signs to look out for. Lori Bergamatto is solving your denim dilemmas, helping you find the best jeans for your body.
Overnight, a surprise from Beyonce while she's channeling Pamela Anderson, and the reaction from the Beehive this morning. And we're kicking off our $20 dinner challenge with great chefs helping you save on dinner for 4, starting with best-selling cookbook author Julia Turshen. As we say, good morning, America.
Live in Times Square, this is a special edition of Good Morning America. Your voice, your vote. Election Day 2024.
Good morning on this election day. More polling locations are opening in several states. Let's take a look at Buck County, Pennsylvania. You see voters lining up there in the critical state.
And we have a look again at Asheville, North Carolina. People turning out this morning in this part of the state that was just devastated by Hurricane Helene just a little over a month ago, but they're making the time to get in line and cast their votes.
And there are tens of millions of Americans waiting in line with their neighbors to vote for president, to vote for representatives in Congress, the Senate, and ballot measures. We're going to zoom in on the top issues that matter most to you that are influencing how you're voting. Rebecca Jarvis on the economy, Elizabeth Schulze on reproductive rights, John Quinones on immigration and the border, after a campaign where the 2 candidates offered starkly different takes on the state of the country, starkly different agendas for the future of the country. This is a coin toss election, unprecedented consequences. On to Eva Pilgrim in Washington, D.C., where Vice President Kamala Harris will be spending election night. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning to you, George. This is what it's all about, the fight for the White House. Kamala Harris is waking up in D.C. after what has been an all-out sprint to the finish, wrapping up a string of star-studded rallies yesterday in Pennsylvania, where she was until late last night. Her team telling us they feel good, but no one feels like the last few days has sealed anything up. This is a close race, and they are taking nothing for granted. And generally, with campaigning, at the very end, the focus turns to trying to get out the base, but the Harris campaign is still working even today to persuade what they are calling soft Trump voters. They are actively targeting those voters who have been turned off by the former president's recent messaging. Her messaging in these final days: unification, joy, and the future. The Harris team telling me they will be watching some key metrics tonight, saying they need to see big numbers for women, suburban voters, college-educated voters. They need the numbers in the big urban centers to meet the 2020 levels of turnout, telling me Atlanta and Detroit are showing encouraging numbers so far for early voting. But they tell me they need people to turn out today to vote. It will all come down to who shows up today. Michael?
It sure will. There, Eva. Thank you so much for that. Former President Trump will be in Florida as the results come in. Whit Johnson joins us now from Palm Beach. Good morning, Whit.
Hey, Michael, good morning to you. After a jam-packed 24 hours racing through some of the battleground states, Donald Trump is back here in the state of Florida, and not far from here later this morning is expected to vote in Palm Beach. Overnight in Grand Rapids, Michigan, Trump delivered his closing message in what is his third and final bid for president, painting a very dark picture about what would happen in this country if he doesn't win, attacking Kamala Harris, calling her low IQ, but suggesting that he's not running against Harris. Instead, he's running against an evil Democrat system, again making claims of cheating without providing evidence in this election. But the Trump campaign insists it's going to be the top two issues, the economy and immigration, that ultimately carry Trump to victory. At the beginning of all of his rallies, Trump asked this signature question: are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? His thousands of supporters yell no. And that's the message that the Trump campaign is really trying to drive home, that it was Kamala Harris and the Biden administration who broke it, and that Trump can fix it. Now, there are some signs of anxiety within the Trump campaign in these final hours, but they are projecting confidence, touting gains that they've made and Republican voter registration in key battleground states, and also improved performance and turnout in early voting in those states as well. Robin?
All right, our thanks to you, Whit. And we're going to turn from politics now to the breaking news overnight. Boeing machinists voted to accept the company's contract offer, end their strike. The walkout lasted 53 days. Let's bring back our transportation correspondent, Gio Benitez, who has been tracking this for us. Good morning again, Gio.
Hey, Robin, good morning again. Yeah, this is big news for Boeing, which hasn't been able to build its most popular planes in nearly 2 months. That is now over, and those workers can go back to work as early as tomorrow. The new deal calls for a 38% general wage increase and a 401k match increase to 100% of the first 8% of pay. Now, the new Boeing CEO, Kelly Ortberg, said this was the biggest priority before handling Boeing's other issues. And this morning, he sent the employees a message saying the past few months have been difficult, but, quote, we are all part of the same team. We will only move forward by listening and working together. There is much work ahead to return to the excellence that made Boeing an iconic company. Of course, Boeing has been in the spotlight after that door plug flew off the plane in January, Robin.
Good to know that the strike is over after 50-plus days. Thank you, Gio. Now to overtime. Overnight on Monday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs survived and are still perfect on the season. Running back Kareem Hunt scored in overtime to beat the Tampa Bay Bucks and lift KC to an 8-0 record. Patrick Mahomes gave fans a little bit of a scare with an ankle injury, but the defending Super Bowl champs pulled out the win. And as a Swiftie, I have to say, Taylor Swift was there in attendance.
I thought we could get away with one day.
Not even Election Day.
Coming up in our GMA Morning Menu, ABC News team across the country, around the world, breaking down the critical issues that could decide the election.
Also ahead, show the video again. Yes, that is Beyonce. And Lara's going to tell us why she's channeling Pamela Anderson, surprising fans overnight.
Plus, holiday entertaining season is here, and Tory Johnson has gathered everything you need with deals and steals, starting at less than $10 in all from small businesses. And Lara's with Lori B. What's up?
I am. Whoa! You guys know what that means. We have a look alert. Lori Bergamotto is here as a fashion first responder. Of course she is. for our Style 911 segment, coming to the rescue to help you get the best fit for your denim. It's all coming up right here on GMA. You're under arrest.
That's a live look at Milwaukee, where they just opened the doors moments ago at that polling location. And now we're going to break down the top issues in this election. We're going to start with our chief business correspondent, Rebecca Jarvis, with the economy. Good morning, Rebecca.
Good morning, Georgia. And the economy remains a top issue on voters' minds. And whoever wins this election inherits an economy that is growing faster than every major developed economy in the world. On jobs, the unemployment rate currently 4.1%. That is historically low. There is about one job opening for every job seeker, and average hourly wages are up 4%, now growing faster than inflation over the last year. The stock market is up 20%. That is the best 10 months of a presidential election year since 1936. And when you look at gasoline prices, which had spiked, they are now down about 30 cents from a year ago. In fact, when you look at inflation overall, George, it is up 2.4% over the last year, and that is way down from the 9% spike we saw 2 summers ago.
It has fueled anti-incumbent sentiment all around the world. One of the big questions in this election is what impact it's going to have here.
It could have an impact here because inflation has been this worldwide phenomenon and people have really felt it. It is the constant reminder of what you're paying now versus 3 years ago. And there are still these lingering effects of the inflation from 2021 to 2023, whether it's in housing, at the grocery store. Consumers are feeling this every day, and families are still stretched, paying about $1,200 more a month on the same goods and services as they were a year ago. It's particularly stark for families and those adults without a 4-year college degree. While both candidates offer various pricing measures to try to drive prices down, what I talk to voters about every day, they want to feel that that American dream is still alive and well. They want to feel that prices are attainable for their family, George.
Okay, Rebecca, thanks very much.
No doubt economy top on the list, but we go now to Elizabeth Schulze, who has more on the issue of abortion and what both Trump and Harris have said about that. Good morning to you again, Elizabeth.
Hey, good morning again, Robin. Polls are now open here in Arizona where voters will decide if the right to an abortion should be enshrined in the state's constitution. This is one of 10 states with a ballot initiative to expand abortion access. In every state where abortion has been on the ballot since the end of Roe v. Wade, including in red states, the abortion rights position has won. And that helps explain why we've seen former President Trump change his position on this. He had supported a national abortion ban, now says it's up to the states. Vice President Harris is hammering Trump for appointing 3 of the Supreme Court justices who overturned Roe. And we know that it's mobilizing women voters. Our latest ABC News Ipsos poll shows that Harris has an 11-point advantage over Trump among women. Harris hopes that by putting reproductive rights at the center of her campaign, she can edge out Trump in critical battlegrounds like here in Arizona, Michael.
Definitely a big issue there, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for that. Now to John Quiones in Dallas, Texas on immigration. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Michael. It's one of the hottest political issues in this election, immigration. But here's a reality check. The situation along the U.S. borders, both southern and northern, is starkly different from what it was just a year ago. According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, from October of 2023 to September of this year, the Border Patrol apprehended migrants in between ports of entry 1.5 million times. Now, that's the lowest number of apprehensions in 4 years. And it's due in part to President Biden's executive order establishing new restrictions on asylum. Now, Donald Trump has promised that if elected, he would order the largest mass deportation in American history, but he's offered no specifics on exactly how that would take place. Kamala Harris has said she wants to create pathways to citizenship for migrants and dreamers already in the U.S. She also says she'll fight for the bipartisan border bill that Trump urged Republicans to strike down. And finally, when it comes to non-citizens voting in this election, well, the truth is that's illegal and extremely rare. Robin?
It is. All right, John, our thanks to you. And now to ABC News coverage of election night. Last night, Rachel Scott got to see where we'll track the results as they come in.
Guys, good morning and welcome to our 2024 ABC News election headquarters. We'll have all the reporting and analysis as Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump speed toward the finish line and polls begin to close. As soon as those results become available, we'll break them all down right here in real time. Over at the big board, we'll be tracking the 7 key battleground states, the key counties and cities that will ultimately decide this election. And as that data comes in, we'll track the number of electoral college votes with the help of a 3D model like this. The magic number is 270. The first candidate to reach that electoral college number will become our next president. We'll also track results on Capitol Hill and what it all means for control of Congress. When all the counting is done, Republicans need to net 2 seats to take control of the Senate. Democrats need to net 4 seats to take control of the House. Our whole team here with all the key races and the race for the White House. It all starts right here tonight at 7 p.m. Guys, back to you.
It is such an important night, and as Rachel said, we'll have full election night coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. Right here on ABC.
It's time for some pop news. Larry, what you got?
All right, let's do it. Michael, good morning to you all. We're going to begin with a surprise from Beyonce. You guys have been hinting about it, and boy, I get it. She's giving new meaning to the word Baywatch. Check out her Halloween costume paired with her song Bodyguard from Cowboy Carter. It's not a full-fledged video, but it's enough to grab the attention of the internet, especially when she pays homage to Pamela Anderson like this. Baywatch with a B-E-Y. And here's another look. Today has barbed wire from Anderson's 1996 movie of the same name. She nails that one as well. And she also dressed up in Pam's look from the 1999 VMAs. You know you're an icon when Beyonce is honoring your looks. Wow. That song, by the way, Bodyguard, has been streamed 75 million times since it dropped in March.
I knew she was going to have a slow-mo of the run. You know, that was so Baywatch. Yes.
Classic. Hey, speaking of classic, talk about a fun music collaboration. John Bon Jovi and Mr. 305 Pitbull have just announced they will release a remix of 2000 hit It's My Life. The collab between these two, who are truly 2 of our favorites here on GMA, will be called Now or Never. The pair first hinted that they were joining forces back in September when Bon Jovi surprised Pitbull's fans by walking on stage during one of his tour stops here in New York City, and they sang It's My Life for the first time together. But in this remix, they'll be giving the song a new spin, with Pitbull adding new lyrics as only Mr. 305 can. The collab drops on November 14th. It's coming up the same day as the 2024 Latin Grammys, where the 2 superstars will perform together. I love that.
Great combo.
Yes. Yeah. Great combo. Big fun. And then finally, in pop news this morning, it's always good to have someone stabilize a ladder if you're using one. We all know this, and Marley knows that as well. How much help he could give his human Gary if things got wobbly, we're not sure. We do know he'd be there for plenty of kisses. And in return, we know that Gary gives Marley some treats for spotting him.
Good job, Marley.
That's a good
I know.
That's pop news.
You wanted to get that in, and now I know.
To sneak it.
But I got to skedaddle.
Yeah.
With Thanksgiving, skedaddle. Yes. With Thanksgiving right around the corner, Tory Johnson is here. Bye, guys. Is here with festive deals and steals for all your holiday entertaining, and all these products are from small businesses. And thank you, Jay, ma'am. Good morning to you, Tory.
Hello.
This is a favorite.
It is a favorite because we know that great meals make great memories, and we're all about the memories at holiday time. And Kansas City Steaks is here to help us out. They've created 7 packages just for us. All of these, they are wet aged for peak tenderness, flash frozen, shipped directly to your door. So we've got a bunch of new options from them. We've got the prime rib. We've got the entire herb roasted turkey. We have bone-in ribeyes, filet mignons, top sirloins, you name it. There's an option for everybody, and all of the packages are slashed in half today.
Oh my goodness!
Plus we got some sides.
I know the crew is going to eat well today.
Yes. You know what? Speaking of our crew all day today, we should get these mats in the studio for election night, because when you step on these, it is literally like stepping into cloud-like comfort. So not with your super sharp heels on there.
No, but you can still feel it. Yes,
you can still feel it, right? So what's amazing about this is that it's going to help to reduce back pain, fatigue, all the stuff that when you're standing on a hard surface, whether you are working in the kitchen, garage, workspace, people use them even in front of a standing desk. It's just going to help you feel better all day long. All slash and half, huge variety of assortment in sizes and patterns from Gel Pro.
All right.
Okay.
Ambiance.
Ambiance.
Yes.
So this is making their deals debut, Zafferano. This is cordless lighting, and it's on off. So pick that up. You could just take that away with you. You could put that lighting anywhere you want it. And then here's what's fabulous. Just tap the top of that. If you tap the top of that, goes right off. So on off with just a tap.
That's great.
Plus
That's
it's
awesome.
cordless, so you can take your lighting anywhere you want. Plus it looks fabulous. It's going to elevate any space indoors or out, depending on where you want some lighting. 4 different styles, big variety of colors, all 50% off plus
free shipping. This is another favorite.
Another favorite. Ulo. These are the wine purifiers.
Yes.
So they'll remove sulfates to bring the wine back to its original state. And then we also have their adjustable aerator. So you turn it on for reds, off for whites, and you can use it either on top of a glass. You just put this literally right on top of a glass, or if you want to buy one of the carafes or decanters that we have today, that's an option. And then one of their newest products is this one here. It's called the Uno. So that's what you would take with you to a restaurant, on an airplane, for traveling. So that's going to remove the sulfates and histamines from your glass of wine. Everything from Ulo today slash and half starts at $7.50.
Great deal here.
Okay.
Oh, this is kicking it up a notch with tea time.
Yes, so this is Farberware, one of the original tea kettles. It's their beautiful enamel exterior. It's going to be both, it's like stain resistant, I want to say. It's like it's going to maintain this beautiful finish, this beautiful shine. It's not going to fade. It's not going to stain. We've got a big variety of colors, variety of sizes. They feel really good in your hand, too, when you're boiling some water. These are fabulous, slash and half. They start at $20. Really fun gift. Great for yourself,
I love the handle here.
Looks good on your counter.
Thank you so much.
There you go. You ready to go over to the last one?
We have one more.
We have one more over here. Adorn. We've got these mailboxes that are going to help prevent identity, mail, and package theft, because these are locking mailboxes that your mail carrier can access, but it's going to keep sticky fingers and undesirable weather out from your mail. We've got 2 different styles. We've got the posts that can go into the ground, plus the wall mount, depending on what you need.
Sure.
You know that our own Lara Spencer has one of these?
I do.
She purchased one in the last sale.
I have the green one.
She's got.
I have the greenie.
She's got a green one. Yeah. She's got a green one.
Fits a lot of mail.
That woman knows style. She knows style. And Adorn, we've got a fabulous deal on these. They're all slash and half starting at $75.
I'm glad I saw this over here.
Me too.
All right, Tori, thank you very much. We partner with these companies on these deals. Head to our website to find them. Tori's going to be back to tell us about some amazing digital deals.
Oh, yeah.
And coming up next, have you seen this? Lori B is here with Style 911. Come on back, folks.
Welcome back to a special Election Day edition of GMA, live in Times Square.
And here at ABC, we have a passionate team of young reporters who follow the candidates to every stop they make, track every word they say. Without them, we couldn't bring you what you need to know about the election. Now, we'd like you to get to know them.
Hi, my name's Karen Devastator. Hi, I'm Corinne. Hi, my name is Gabriella Abdul Hakim.
Hi, I'm Isabella Murray.
They're 8 of the ABC journalists covering this campaign.
I'm Fritz Barrow, and I'm covering the Harris campaign.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Walsh, and I cover the Trump campaign.
I'm Will McDuffie, and I'm covering the Harris campaign.
I'm Laylee Ipsa, and I cover former President Donald Trump's campaign.
Campaign reporters and producers. We call them embeds.
The move here was quick. We were already on the campaign trail with candidates in Iowa before I flew back to New York City, packed up my apartment in 24 hours to relocate to New Hampshire.
There I am with my huge backpack full of gear, ready to make the trek.
Traveling over 100,000 miles, 25 states, 53 cities, on the ground for every breaking moment.
Many of the voters here oppose Biden's response to the Israel-Hamas war. They're calling for a permanent ceasefire.
You were there at the last Trump rally where that shooter took a shot at the former president.
Yeah, Phil, I can tell you that Trump and his campaign were adamant about making this return to Butler.
Up until the last moments of the race.
They're each going to be fighting for the middle. It's where most undecided voters in America are.
I can tell you that this state is a must-win for the Trump campaign.
It wasn't always easy.
The split screen moment of 2024. 3 candidates, 7 states, 5 days.
It's 103 degrees outside, and the campaign has sideline fans blasting air.
As the election comes to a close, their takeaway from a year on the road.
When vice president ascended to the top of the ticket over the summer, it was madness.
Traveling on Air Force Two with Vice President Harris.
Covering the Republican National Convention.
When we went up to northern Michigan with the governor for 4 days while he was preparing for the vice presidential debate against J.D. Vance.
If you approach a person with a smile and humbleness, they will not be unkind to you.
Have an open mind. You just never know when you're going to meet a friend or have a lot in common with a voter.
Everyone has their own unique reasons for voting the way they do, and everyone deserves to be heard.
I've met some of the best people that I've ever met.
Getting to talk to voters, learning what's on their minds and the issues that are most important to them in this election.
Getting to travel the entire country with some of the greatest people I've ever met, including one of our other Trump campaign embeds, Turshen.
Oh, I love watching these embeds work so hard and grow and also get very worn out over the course of the campaign. And, you know, they're all going to have bright futures. Remember, Rachel Scott, our star campaign reporter and embed in Donald Trump's first campaign in 2016.
Very right about that. Look at her now.
That's good. Very proud of her and all those embeds. They're incredible work that they do.
Great work.
Let's get over to Lara now.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right now, though, speaking of awesome, we've got our new Shop GMA series. It's called Style 911. We're addressing concerns, common concerns for finding the right fit for your clothing. This morning, we're starting with denim. Everybody needs a great pair of jeans, so we've called in the expert. GMA lifestyle contributor Lori Bergamato is joining us with your solutions. So let's get to it. Buying jeans can be challenging for so many. You did research. You spoke to denim experts. Yeah. What did you learn about finding the most flattering fit for every body?
Okay, so I actually did speak to Mary Pearson, who is the Senior Vice President of Denim Design at Madewell, which is one of the most popular denim companies, right? And I have good news and I have bad news. The good news is there is one size for you. The bad news is there is not a universal size. I think we get caught up in that, right? We think there's this Goldilocks jean. But she told me that you have to get out of your comfort zone. She said women get so locked in. This is my size and this is the only shape that I wear. She said no. Actually try it. You got to try it on, and go really far out of your comfort zone
to see what works.
And Lara, the other thing, and you and I have talked about this, we're moving away from that skinny jean. And
we're not sad about that.
Robin Roberts there.
No.
And we're moving toward a slouchier. We're gonna get Michael in skinny jeans.
Oh my
next,
gosh, that would be a dream come true.
But we're moving toward that slouchier look. So you wanted to see what the market has and then find what's right for you.
Right.
And we did it.
Because you don't want slouchy to look,
messy.
kind of. Yes,
Right,
exactly.
Okay.
So you found some awesome gals.
Amazing.
So they have common concerns. They're going to model a few styles. We're going to bring out our first one. Her name is Maria. Maria, come on out here. Want to hear from you, young lady, what your concerns are when it comes to finding great denim.
Yes, so whenever I purchase my size, I noticed that within the first 30 minutes they stretched out a lot, and
So
it's
annoying.
very uncomfortable, very unflattering.
Yep.
Like I had to be pulling them up every time.
You need to wear a belt.
Nobody wants that,
Nope.
And so if I go down a size, then it just doesn't stretch out as much, So it's like, so what do we do? Where do I go?
What do we do, Miss Laura?
So that was her style emergency. And so comfort was so important to her. We knew she wanted jeans that stretched, Lara, but that did not stretch out, right, Maria?
Yes.
So we went for the Madewell Perfect Vintage Wide Leg. This is that wide leg I was telling you about.
I like this.
And the key here is the fabric. A lot of us think, oh, it's the fit, it's the cut. No, sometimes it's the fabric. So what we did here is we made sure that this was 99% cotton and just 1% elastane. Sometimes they have too much stretch.
Yes.
And we knew that she wanted them to feel soft, and they really are, right?
I love these. These are great.
Okay, good.
Yeah, they stretch, not stretched out. I
Yeah.
actually did my test, which I squat, and I'm like, oh, they'll stay perfect.
Well, they look
like
great
these are
too.
winners.
They do look great, and we think you look fabulous in them. So thank you so much.
Thanks for modeling for us. All right, so we've seen Maria. Now we're ready for Meg. Where are you, Meg?
Come on out, Meg.
Hi, Meg. Hi. So can you tell us a little bit about your fashion 911 when it comes to denim?
Yeah, so I'm pretty tall. So the tall sizes are sometimes a little too long, but then the regular ones are too short.
I'm with you on this.
I know, and then it gaps in the back, and so then I just don't like to wear jeans is what it comes down to. Yeah.
Right. So Megan told us, she's like, I'm not a jeans girl because of this issue. And we were going to make a jeans girl of her yet.
Yes.
And so what we want to do when we talked to our expert, these are from Old Navy, and when we talked to our expert, she was like, the waist gap is the #1 issue she hears from women. We all have that problem, right? And with Meg, because she is 5'10", lucky Meg, we wanted to make sure that she was going for a brand that accommodates tall. So now, Lara, and you know this, because if you're over 5'7", you have to shop for a tall brand, because the inseam really matters. We looked for a 34-inch inseam. These from Old Navy have it. Give us a little spin, Meg. You can just see all the positioning. There's no gap, great pockets. And the other thing here is, even if you're petite like me, you want to pay attention to the rise as well, because it's not just about the leg. You can't just, I couldn't buy those and hem them because the knee positioning would be off. So look at the rise, look at the knee positioning, and make sure you're buying for your height.
Rise matters. All right, thank you so much. All right, so we want to get to Sarah. We're running out of time, but this is important, so come on out, Sarah. All right. Looking good. Wow.
Good.
Sarah, talk to us about your 911 situation.
The struggle is real after having my baby, so I wanted something that would flatter me and not leave me frumpy.
Yep.
And we accomplished that with these Abercrombie jeans. They are viral. They are the Curve Love, the fittingly called the mom jean, because it really accommodates that mom pooch, right?
Yes.
And she doesn't have that waist gap. We heard that from our expert that there is a 12-inch difference on some women between their hips and their waist. And while we try to accommodate for that, you know, they do the best they can. These jeans really bring them in. They hug her, they look fantastic, and they're under $100.
Wow.
So from
three
Abercrombie.
great choices, all really different problems, but all common problems. Thank you so much. Ladies, get out here. Show us those jeans. Well, thank goodness we solved this 911 situation. All of these jeans are shoppable. You can scan the code on your screen, or you can visit our website. Thanks to Lori, goodmorningamerica.com.
One mother's miraculous survival from a brain aneurysm. Ariel Reshef is here with her story and the warning signs we should all know. Good morning,
We
Ariel.
all need to know this. Good morning to you guys, and miraculous is the perfect word for this story. Julianne suffered a massive brain aneurysm at just 38 years old. Her 10-year-old daughter sprang into action, which likely saved her life. Now the young mom wants to pay her miracle forward by making sure everyone knows the signs.
You could call it beating the odds, but Julianne Smith believes surviving and recovering after a massive brain aneurysm rupture didn't happen by chance.
The fact that I'm even here is an absolute miracle, and the power of prayer is so real.
Last January, the busy mom of 3 passed out in her kitchen. Her panicked 10-year-old called dad at work, who called 911.
So I show up, and Julianne's like, I just don't feel good. I'm really dizzy. And then she puts her hand on her head and just lets out this horrible scream.
Julianne, just 38, was life-flighted to the Cleveland Clinic. Doctors say only about 30% of patients with as severe a case make it through without significant disability.
We never like to see patients come in that severe condition. She was on the brink of death.
Julianne underwent emergency surgery and was put into a medically induced coma for 14 days. Then another high-risk surgery prevented a massive stroke, but eventually she came to.
We were actually astounded. She was following commands. She was talking, interacting with her family. It was truly miraculous.
Experts say about 30,000 patients in the U.S. suffer a brain aneurysm rupture each year. Some signs to look out for: sudden severe headache, nausea, stiff neck, confusion, blurred or double vision, loss of consciousness. For Julianne, recovery was an uphill climb.
Now right step, Julianne. Yeah, good job.
Learning how to walk again, speech and physical therapy. But though it was grueling, she says she was driven by purpose.
I looked at the therapist and I said, I have a lot to live for.
She returned home on Valentine's Day, and now, just 9 months later,
I don't see any fluid in there, so that's good.
Even her doctors are amazed by her progress.
To see her doing so well so soon just brings us all great joy.
It kind of shook us to our core, but I think it brought it back to center, on what really matters in life.
look at her now. Her husband says Julianne is getting stronger every single day. It is important to note that aneurysms can be hereditary. So Julianne's entire family decided to get scans, and it turns out her sister has an aneurysm in the exact same spot, and doctors are now monitoring her. And this is a good lesson that you should know your family history and pay attention to the signs, guys.
Oh, wow.
But she's doing well.
I know. What a miracle.
It is a miracle. She's doing yoga. She's taking 3-mile walks. Can you imagine? Just a couple of months ago.
And good for her to share like that, to help others. Yeah. Thanks, Ariel.
Tori is back now to tell you all about GMA's holiday gift guide with holiday presents for everyone, even the toughest customers on your list. Hey, Tor.
So much that we have to be this far apart.
I don't love it, except in this case.
I know, right? We have just launched our annual digital gift guide for GoodMorningAmerica.com. Every item is at least 50% off. We have almost 40 brands in all of the categories that you guys love to shop: beauty and skincare, clothing, shoes, jewelry, accessories, home and kitchen, tech. There are even 100 products that are perfect for gifting that are under $20. We love that. So scan that QR code or head to GoodMorningAmerica.com to dive in. There is a lot to see and shop, and it's a really easy way
and we
to
can
cross.
shop now.
You can start shopping right now. You can shop all week, all month. It's an easy way to cross a lot of people off of your list while also stretching your dollar with our exclusive savings. I always like to say, like, shop now because your favorite might be gone, so you don't want to wait. If you see something you love, grab it. But a lot of fun. And it was a lot of fun. And huge shout out to our Leslie for putting this together.
It's awesome.
This is a masterpiece.
It is a masterpiece, and so are you for getting these great deals. Thank you so much, Tor. Hey, coming up on Good Morning America, let's cook, baby. Julia Turshen is taking our $20 dinner challenge. Are you ready? Let's do this.
Yeah. We are back, yes, with our new series, the $20 Dinner Challenge. With the high price of groceries still a big concern for most American families, we are asking chefs to come up with a 2-course dinner for 4 people using just $20 worth of ingredients. And first up, best-selling cookbook author Julia Turshen, who is showing us 2 easy and delicious recipe dishes from her new cookbook. What goes with that? Julia, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And you know, a lot of ways that, we talk about the cost of groceries.
Sure.
And a lot of people out there, that's a big concern. But one way to keep costs down is by using the pantry. That is some things you may already have in your house. So tell us what we're making and what you pull from our pantry.
Sure, yeah. So we're going to make eggplant parm heroes. So we get to have sandwiches for dinner. And then we're going to make a pumpkin chocolate chip bread, which you can have for dessert or for breakfast the next morning.
Hey, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
All right. So what did we actually go and shop for? So let's look at the shopping list and make sure we come in under 20 bucks. And what do you get for the biggest bang for your buck?
Oh, yeah. So we're going to have a vegetarian meal, so we're saving a lot of money there. We're going to do eggplant, a lot of bang for your buck there. There's no waste with eggplant. We get to use the whole thing. Here we go. Yep. Tomato sauce, some cheese.
I see mozzarella cheese and, of course, chocolate chips cost,
well,
$3.99.
You got to have them.
But I love that. I love that. For the main course, we're going to make with parm, eggplant parm hero.
Yes.
It really smells good. So how do we get started? How do we get started?
So we're going to get started. We slice the eggplant. And again, it's such a great value because you get to use the whole thing. You're not like peeling or seeding. You use all of it. And then if you'd like to do this, you can brush them with a little olive oil. You could spray it with a, oil spray.
For you lazy ones out there, us real chefs, we brush.
You're an artist, a true artist.
Picasso.
And then you can put them, I'll do it if you'd like, so you don't have to dirty your hands. Or you got it.
Now, do we do both sides?
Yeah, so we're going to do both sides and just get them nice and brown. You could also do this under a broiler. You don't have to do a griddle.
Oh, I didn't think about
and if you line your sheet pan with foil like we have here, then you have no cleanup, which is really great.
Not only is it cheaper, but you're also no cleanup. You're making something I can deal with right here.
Because what I really believe is obviously saving money on ingredients, but time is money. So if you don't have to clean up, and also we're not breading and frying the eggplant, which is just a great way to save time and save cleanup time. We're just going to put on this garlic bread. So
and once they get brown, they're going to look like this.
They're going to look like this, smell amazing. And then we're going to top them, if you want to help me, with a little tomato sauce. We're using jarred tomato sauce, But you could also save money by making your own if you want.
Yeah, that's one way to save some money.
yeah.
You make your own sauce
Yeah.
instead of just buying the jar.
Absolutely.
sauce.
It's really easy to make, just tomatoes, little garlic oil. And then we'll top with cheese, mozzarella and Parmesan.
A little bit of both, huh?
You've done this before.
Yeah. Oh, I put my hand in the sauce. You distracted me, Julia. You made me feel real comfortable. And then I lost my way.
Okay,
All right.
then
okay, well, I don't have to
That's for
actually
your
make
hands.
it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, you're doing great. So then you put this back in the oven, melt the cheese, get it all delicious. It's
And
gonna look
that's
like
what we
this.
got.
Yep. And then to build the sandwich, you can start building one here. I'm just gonna tell
we
you
only
what
got
we
a
did with
minute
the
here. Let's
bread.
build the
yeah.
sandwich.
We're just gonna spread the garlic butter we
Garlic
made.
butter on the bread.
We're gonna griddle the bread and then just stick it on there. Put as many as you want.
Yeah.
Put a little fresh basil. Nice.
Bam. There we go. All right, but we have to get to dessert
Yes.
that we can also have breakfast the next day. It's a pumpkin chocolate chip bread. How do we make that?
You mix the wet ingredients: canned pumpkin, brown sugar, water, oil. There's no
Okay.
eggs in here.
There's no eggs, okay.
It's just the pumpkin holds it together. I'll mix the dry. I've got flour, salt, baking powder, baking soda, pumpkin pie spice. But you could just do like cinnamon. You don't have to buy anything. Mix it together.
Okay.
Add the chocolate chips. You can imagine.
Chocolate
Put it in
chip.
here. The parchment. Yeah, they're good.
Uh-huh,
Yeah.
very good.
Quality test. And then bake it 350 for an hour, and then you have this.
Voila! And then breakfast the next day.
Yeah.
Julia, that was excellent.
Yeah,
Thank
this
you.
was a
That really
pleasure.
good.
Thank you so much.
Julia's new cookbook, What Goes With What, is available now. And you can get these recipes on GoodMorningAmerica.com.
We're in. Thank you for watching. We will have full election night coverage starting at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on ABC.
And right back here tomorrow morning. Have a great day.